Hi there, and welcome to this episode of Write With Me at IELTS Juice. Today we have another rubric for the general training module, of course, because we are going to write a letter. And here is the rubric. It says, a museum near your home is looking for people to do part-time voluntary, in other words, unpaid work. You would like to do some voluntary or unpaid work at the museum, at this particular museum. So that is our topic. Let's break down the bits of information. One, there's a museum near you. So it's near your house, your home, it's in your town, it's a block away, 2 blocks away, a 10-minute walk away, ride away, a bus ride away. Just make sure you know that this is not just some museum in some other country. I don't know why, but I have to explain these things. One is for you to pay attention to the rubric, and number two, it helps you put the information into perspective. You have no idea how much information will come to your mind when you actually start visualizing a museum like this. And I also want you to start thinking about the type of this museum. Is it the museum for architecture or art, history, antiques? And you also need to start thinking about the name. You can say the National Museum of Modern Art. And then remember, it's a part-time, voluntary work, so you're not there for financial gain. You want to learn something else. It can be experience, it can be making connections, it may be just a passion, or you are a student and this is part of your term project, term paper, whatever it is. Just I want you to start thinking about it and find out the reasons why you are going to this particular museum. Let's carry on reading. Write a letter to the museum director. So you're going to target the head of this institute, and my logic is telling me that you need to know the name of this individual. So again, please go ahead and call him. In your salutation, you need to address the individual. But if IELTS says, begin your letter as follows, and IELTS tells us to start the letter as dear sir or madam, we have no choice. We have to start our letter by saying dear sir or madam. But that's my logic. Logically, you should know the name of the individual, but that's besides the point. Again, here, we cannot argue with IELTS. If IELTS tells us to begin your letter with that, done. Now, when we write to the museum director, what do we want to do? We want to apply for the voluntary or unpaid work. So there's an application process. And in your letter, we are going to write these 3 bullet points. Explain why you want to do voluntary unpaid work at the museum. You need to say why you're interested in it. It can be one reason, it can be more than one reason, but they have to be convincing. The director needs to know why, your clear intentions. Number 2, describe some skills and qualities you have that would be useful. This is interesting. Now you want to contribute. You want to say that, okay, you may receive other applications, but you need to pay attention to mine because I have these qualities. Which is interesting, right? The fact that you are presenting some qualities that are beneficial for the museum, and you expect nothing in return, financially, of course, which is a great deal. But let's see. Finally, give details of when you would be available for work. Interesting. So you go ahead and say when you're ready to start work. Now let me see how we can go ahead with this. First and foremost, you know me, we need to decide if it's a formal letter or informal letter. Yes, this is not a paid job. It's of course not that serious. You are under no obligation to do that, but still, it is a job. This is a museum. They have valuable items there, items that can, I don't know, be valued at $1 million, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So this is a sensitive organization. You need to reflect that on your letter. This is key. But even if it were another institute, I would still suggest a formal letter, because you're talking to a head of an institute, and these people would like to be addressed formally. So I'm going to put this here because every time I'm going to look at it, it will remind me that all my sentences should remain formal. Now we start with a salutation. IELTS instructs us to start by saying, "Dear sir or madam," okay? Otherwise, you can go ahead and write the name of the director, but here, no choice. Then we need an opening statement. So there are a ton of things that I can say, but your first sentence is important. Express your intention here. We are going to address the first bullet point here because it is very important that you are clear in your intention and you express your enthusiasm. You are willing to contribute. You love this place. You love museums. You love the position that you're applying for. So show enthusiasm. Show your love, your passion. Say, I am writing this letter to express my enthusiasm, my willingness to contribute to the museum. You need to call it by the name or whatever it is. And or you can say, I'm writing this letter to formally apply for the position of blah blah at the National University of, the National Museum of Modern Art. So basically, go ahead and express that you want this position. And then it says, explain why you want to do that. I can tell you, you can express a reason. You can even go ahead and say reasons. If it's one reason, because IELTS here doesn't limit us, it says just explain why. You can say one reason and it is fine. Two reasons will not give you any extra mark. I'm just telling you. You might want to be a university student and you have a term paper to present, and for that you need to be at the museum for at least 2 months, 3 months, whatever. Go ahead and say that. I don't think you need a separate paragraph to convince somebody to hire you, because they're not going to give you any money. It's not a hard process, really. Doing voluntary work happens all the time. They just want to know that you will observe their law, their regulations, their limitations. You know everything about working at a museum. That's all they want to know. You can even go ahead and say that I'm passionate about art. So my suggestion is just one reason. But if you want, I don't know, make it more convincing, come up with 2 reasons. The next one, we need a paragraph. And in the paragraph, we are going to address by saying why me, why you, why this application, not other people's application, why the director needs to pick this one. So yes, you have solid reasons, you are passionate, cool. What else? That's where you need to, now you can add details. Bring in your qualities. What qualities will you offer? What things will you give to museum? How can you help? This is important. This part should be small because here the museum is going to help you. You have a reason, you reached out, you're telling them, hey, please, I have a term paper, I need to be at the museum. I don't know, or something more convincing. I need a recommendation letter for my job later on, so I need to at least, I don't know, do a 100-hour shift somewhere. So I realized that you have a post, I'm willing to work for free. That's the reason I need the recommendation letter. Just fine, go for that. But this part is the part that you do for the museum. So always make sure that this part is larger than this one. You give more than you expect. In an ideal world, there should be balance, but we're not talking about an ideal world, and the museum director is looking for a deal. So they're giving one, but they're getting two. I mean, this is just math, or I mean, I'm putting it in simple terms. Show that you will bring more qualities than what you expect from the museum to do. You can talk about the things that you have. You can say if you worked in a museum previously. You can say if you can arrange, you can make some advertisement for the museum. You can bring more people to the museum. You can do some work that the museum is already paying for, and you can do them for free. Talk about the qualities that you will bring. Even if you want to add another quality, be my guest. But this is the body that you need to work on. Your contribution to museum is important. My suggestion, you can still go ahead with one, but my suggestion is at least two, just to show your willingness, your commitment, and your desire to actually contribute. And finally, give details of when you would be available to work. That is going to be your closing statement. And in the closing statement, let me go ahead and tell you, it's best to say that I'm even available to work from tomorrow morning. I'm available. Give me, make the arrangements. Maybe I need to wear a badge while I'm in while I'm walking in the museum. I need to have an entrance card. Whatever, like anybody in museum, you have a tag, and so you respectfully, you just maybe sign some papers that you will respect the charter of museum, you will respect the legal framework of the museum, the internal rules and regulations of the museum, whatever it is. Make sure you include that here and say when you will be ready. But since it says give details of when you would be available, my suggestion is to specify the date and time and its details. So maybe you can say that, okay, I am currently working. My job, my duties will be over soon. And in that case, I will be available, let's say, next week. So I can start my shift at the museum starting, and give date, on June 6th, I don't know, or June 13th, whatever the number is, at 8 a.m., at 9 a.m., at 10 a.m. Whatever it is, just show the willingness, give details. Remember, this one says details, so try to be specific. You can say, I really wanted to say that I can start working tomorrow morning, but I have this commitment. This commitment will end at this time, or on this certain day, or on this certain date. From that point on, I will be able to work with you. Or you can make it even more complicated. You can say, I can start working from tomorrow, but in the following week, I need to finish some task I have elsewhere. So I will be working only from 8 a.m. till 12, and for 1 week, but after that week, I can be with you for 6 hours. Remember, this is part-time, so it shouldn't be 8 hours a day. You should always work less than 8 hours a day in a working day. So be mindful of that. This is a part-time job, not a full-time job. Be careful with the details that you put here. And you finish it by saying regards, best regards, kind regards. And also maybe, before that, and before I forget, you can always express your gratitude for the opportunity that the museum is going to present, or at least reading this letter, or at least for the fact that we have a prestigious museum, and just thank them for the hard work that they have done and making their city proud of the heritage, of the background, of history, of the tourism that the museum caused. Just be thankful for something. Or just be thankful that, okay, thank you, but if you're going to ignore this application, I totally understand. I still respect the effort that you've put in the museum and in the reputation, increasing the reputation of my town. Be thankful, be respectful. This helps really. Even if they say, no, thank you, we cannot, I mean, you are not qualified for this position, or we're not accepting any applicants at the moment, or applications at the moment, but they will know that once there is an opening, there is an individual who's polite, who speaks formal, who knows what he or she wants and is willing to pay for it, and is very specific, knows time, values time, and this individual is the one to hire. On that note, I hope this layout helps you well. You also realized right now that I haven't used any extra paragraphs here, because this is important to be concise, to be short, still 150 words, but short, to the point, and it shows that you are willing to give more than you want to get, and you're very respectful, and you're very careful about time. If you wish to see a sample on the same topic, analyzed and improved, click over here. If you wish to see other letters or maybe essays planned like this, click over here, and remember, eat healthy.